that it affects. There's continuity in the district that it affects, and Chuck has brought up a lot of valid points, and I don't feel like I've had time to process as much, and hearing from Mrs. Bates and how it does affect the kids and affects the district. I think that more discussion needs to be had. And I know that this would be discussion number 6 in the issue, with all the meetings that we have, with the budget meetings and now this, earlier. So I do feel like I do need some more time to digest all the information. So yeah, I would like to see us have a special meeting next week so that we can make a vote. I wished I would have had this earlier so we could, but it's a lot to talk about. And it affects a lot of people. And I'm one to keep the cuts as far away from the kids as possible. And nobody is closer to the kids than the teachers, and that's just the reality of education. So if we could possibly have a meeting next week, I think that I would be more prepared after getting this information.
Okay, with the special board meeting next week. Okay, well,
May I?
yes.
I'm just a parent here, I'm sure a lot of us are. Moving up here is great and all, and usually the second question people have to say to you is, how's the schools? And just the thought of a school closing, or, putting all the kids together, young kids with old, you're just asking for problems, I think. You definitely need to get the trees trimmed before someone gets killed, because you need to get an arborist to the middle school minimum. It's just a safety hazard. You can just see it when you just pull in. Something bad's ready to happen. I understand your job is hard. That's what you opened with earlier. I'm sure that's what you get paid to do. And I'm not slamming anybody, but I'm hoping that the position that you're given and the salary you're getting paid to do, that you can keep these schools open. So.
What we're trying to do.
That's why I'd like to at least discuss it a little bit more tonight. I'm not saying we have to make a decision, but we're not even discussing it, sounds like.
Just to reassure you that Mr. Wallace has given us so many options to choose from, and has never tried to put us in a position to make the decision to close a campus. It's always been, we don't want to do this. These are the different options that we have, and I agree that, we need to look at a lot of options before we decide ever to close a campus here on the mountain.
Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, and never say you're just a parent, by the way. But you're absolutely right, those are the things that come from those 4,000s that a lot of times we don't even plan. A wind comes through, and we have to make some quick decisions on, we had to spend approximately, I think, about $5,000 this year trying to trim trees over at El Tejon, and there's a lot of big old oak trees over there that we didn't even touch a lot of them. So there's a lot of those that need to be trimmed still. So those are the things that you can't foresee. That I look at this proposal, that the numbers on here, and I agree, we might be able to get there, but I can't cut it now, and we're hit with that March 15th, so my recommendation to the board is you've got to make the tough decision now, and if we have those funds at the end and we didn't spend them all, and we can bring it back in, and we can, there's roofs that need to be repaired and leaks that we're not doing, trying to wait and see till we get this thing turned around and we can start doing it. So, those are all those things. So,
Well, why can't we make cuts now? What's stopping us from doing it?
because we don't know what's gonna happen. That's the key. If you make this hard cut, you make a decision based on a hard cut. Let's say that, we're pretty confident that in the services, because I'm getting along real well with the unions, and We don't have a lot of litigation going on. We're pretty confident that we can cut our school's legal services over previous years. So we're trying to do that. We're pretty confident we can get that 178 out of that one fund. The supplies is another area right now that I can't be real confident until I know what we have to deal with until the end of the year. So that's where I see it is, it's easy, well, it's not easy. It's one thing to say that we ought to cut this. It's another thing at the end of the year, were we able to cut it? And that's the question, the tough question for the board. And by March 15th, we have to make a determination that if we are hit with one of these things, that we're able to do it. And we're looking at the funds that we're less than 50% have already expended. That's where we're looking at, can we reduce there? That's why we feel confident right now in the amounts we've given. So that's what I would say to if you cut too deeply right now, and we have a storm, and trees come down, and we have to pay for the cleanup, or things like that, or, then what you're running into, that you've cut back, and now you overspend your budget, but now there's no way to make that back up, going into the next year. Okay, so that's just.
I like